From finance too.
Chief Roland Willson. Roland Willson is chief of the West Moberly Lake First Nations, located in northeastern British Columbia, home of the world's largest hydrologic fracking site.
Thank you. I'm Roland Willson. I'm chief of the West Moberly First Nations. My community is located right, actually the Munk Shale plant is located right in my backyard in my community. I'd like to thank the school for bringing us over, or bringing me over here, and also I want to thank the local First Nations of the area for allowing this to happen here. And Ben for the paper he's done. I would like to say that I don't think he's gone far enough with the paper. I think he's barely even touched the tip of the iceberg about what's going on up in my neck of the woods. How many here know any information on the Battle of Little Bighorn? Just short hands, real quick, guys. Little Bighorn, Custer's last chance. How many here understand how many historic treaties there are in Canada? Oh, there's a couple. There's a set of rules in place in Canada that are guided and enshrined under the Constitution of Canada. My community is one of the Treaty 8 First Nation members. We're a historic treaty, the number 8 treaty of approximately, I think, I don't even know what they are. But they, you know, so as we move down this road, one of my roles as being chief is to ensure that the treaties, my treaty is being upheld and protected, and the rights of my people are forefront in all of our discussions. In saying that, you have to understand that shale gas is just the next development that's transferring on the lands where we are. It's a massive development, and it's just in its infancy in northeastern British Columbia. We have, in the area that Ben had talked about, the Borough Prairie area, that area is the breadbasket for approximately 1,500 First Nations people of 3 different communities. It's where we hunt, where we gather medicines, gather our food, we fish in the area. We had just had a flyover of the development that Ben was talking about, the Borough Prairie area, and it took them 2 hours to fly the area in a helicopter, but with 2 helicopters. And out of the 2 helicopters, not one of them identified a moose on the land, or an elk out there. The amount of development that's transpiring on the land is mind-boggling. You have to, the pictures don't give it justice to what's going on out there. And understanding that, yes, you know, where North America is driven by hydrocarbons. You know, I had to jump on a plane and fly over here. The reality of getting here was, you know, I had to spend 4 hours in a plane. But we have to understand what's going on with that. In the Borough Prairie area, we have coal bed methane development happening. We have conventional oil and gas happening. Now we have shale gas development happening in that area. We have large-scale hydroelectric projects in the area. Ben had mentioned it's the Willson Reservoirs there is the largest man-made body of water in North America. We have one of the largest man-made earth-filled dams in the world. We also have the prospect of Site C, which is the 3rd hydroelectric facility being proposed for the Peace River. We have millions of cubic meters of wood being cut. We have in this area 3 proposed coal mines to go in this that's being talked about right now in this area. So, and all of this happening, no one's ever done a cumulative impact assessment. There are no thresholds, baseline information, nothing's been gathered on any of this stuff. Ben talked about in this paper the need to identify the aquifers and stuff like that. Well, that should have been done a long time ago. No one's done that. No one has any intentions of doing that up there. You know, water is in every culture, water is considered to be the lifeblood. Without water, you don't have life. Without good, clean water, you don't have life. You know, every living thing on this planet needs water. And what's going on in the Northeast with the water is unbelievable. Ben showed in his presentation one of the loadout facilities that's up there. That company has 2 loadout facilities, one on the Willson Reservoir and one on the Peace Reservoir. They're proposing right now to develop a pipeline so that they can get the water out of there. Out of those facilities, they're able to pump one of the loadouts 6,000 cubic meters of water a day. Now, does anybody know what a cubic meter, how much volume that is? So 1,000 liters of water. Okay. They pump this. They run the water 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days of the year for this just one company in this area. What this pipeline is going to do is going to increase it to 10,000 cubic meters, which is 1 million cubic meters, 1 million liters of water a day. 365 days a year for one company up there. All this is going downhole, being contaminated. The recovery programs, you've seen the borrow pits, those big rings are called C rings, catchment rings, containment rings, all contaminated water. One of our visions is that if you put anything in the water, you should have to take it out of the water. If they're pulling this water out of the system, they need to be able to put this water back into the system, not pump it down hole where it's never going to be accessible again. Billions of dollars are being spent on the development of the technology to develop this resource out there, but they won't spend any money on the recovery of the area. We saw that with what happened down in the Gulf of Mexico with the blowout they had down there. I watched a film that took place in 1974. The exact same thing happened, right? And all the same technology that they used back then, they tried to use again. It still didn't work. You know, lo and behold, surprise. You know, they called it a different name. They called it back then, it was a sombrero. This time they called it the top hat, right? It didn't work. It still didn't work. But they spent billions of dollars to figure out how to get that out of the ground and never put a cent into figuring out how to fix the problem before it happened, right? So that when that did happen, they had some way of controlling it. We have in the Northeast, I just found out, approximately 30,000 wells that are being developed. We did a study in 2004 called Petroleum Contaminant Study, where we looked at the impacts of oil and gas development on and hydrocarbons on ungulates, and tried to find out whether the animals were sick or not. We had reports that they were ingesting water and eating the soils. Our study identified that of the 17 wells that we looked at sites, 75% of those were contaminated above and beyond federal and provincial levels. Of the 30,000, if you extrapolate our study to that makes 24,000 wells in the Northeast that are contaminated above and beyond federal and provincial levels. You couldn't have a contaminated site in the Lower Mainland in Vancouver. They would clean it up immediately, but we have 24,000, approximately 24,000 wells that are contaminated.